Hello, and welcome to a special episode of the Broke But Not Broken podcast. I am your host, Destocat, aka Des, and this is not the first episode of Season 2, but more of a review, year in review, or I guess season in review of Season 1, and just some logistics in terms of what ideas I have. That'll be a little tweaks and changes between Season 1 and Season 2. I will be posting this episode this upcoming Sunday, and 1 week from this Sunday will be the first episode of Season 2. So in terms of the release schedule, I really want to dedicate my episodes to being weekly. I really think that consistency is the key to a lot of things, and I really want to be able to provide episodes weekly. Now, I post only on Spotify and YouTube, and I will continue to only post on those two platforms because those are the ones that I like personally. But I want to actually stagger the releases between Spotify and YouTube because I want to prioritize Spotify because that's where I have a chance to get advertisements. Although, no matter how many advertisements I get, it probably won't be enough to really be worth anything. Anyways, so my idea is that every Sunday will be the episode released on Spotify, maybe at, I don't know, noon or 9 a.m. I don't know. I like those two times, 9 a.m. or noon. If anyone has an opinion, let me know. And then on every same week on Wednesday, I'll release the corresponding YouTube version of that episode. If you ever watched a podcast or listened to a podcast on YouTube, you notice I have some graphics and like a sound wave that shows like when I'm speaking loud and soft. I copied that style from the Procrastinators podcast, one of my favorite podcasts I love listening to each week. I don't recommend it to anybody because it's really niche and it just wouldn't make sense for anybody to listen to it at this point. But yeah, I got the idea of, showing when I'm talking in the video. I just really like that. I mean, it's not that important when I'm the only one on the podcast, but when I have guests and there's two different sound waves indicating when the person is talking. So I just think that's kind of a cool little thing to look at visually, in my opinion. So yeah, main point, Spotify episodes every Sunday and YouTube episodes every Wednesday. It doesn't matter if you only watch it on one of the platforms because, for example, if you watch it only on YouTube, then it'll still feel like a week between each episode because you'll watch it on Wednesday, the first episode, and then episode 2 the next Wednesday. So in terms of like feeling you get to wait longer, in a perspective, you don't really need to. I have a new graphic set for the YouTube for Season 2. And also a special graphic set for this middle episode, this Season 1 epilogue? Prologue? No, prologue is the beginning, so epilogue. I want to confirm that real quick. Epilogue definition. A section at the end of the book. Yeah. So this is epilogue of Season 1 episode, kind of. And I actually made a graphic for this episode. What did I actually title it? I titled it, Epilogue. Great. So that's on point with everything. I have a new icon. I have a new graphic for the YouTube. I have a new profile picture for the YouTube as well. Nothing major changes, just a small little graphic change to say it's a new season. And actually, this season was numbered from A to Z. But now I'm going to be starting from episode 1 for Season 2. And if I really do it weekly, I don't know. I guess I'll stop Season 2 maybe last week of December. That makes sense, right? I made it last week in November, to give myself a 1 month buffer period. So what else am I gonna have? Yes, so I talked about consistency. I talked about release schedule. I just want to emphasize, I really want the consistency of outputting a podcast every week. That's something that I wanted from the season 1, and I couldn't provide that. So that's kind of like the main goal. All right, so I dedicated the podcast time, or I limited myself to 20 minutes each episode. I would cut myself off if I went over most of the time. And I would also maybe sometimes have a lot of dead air to reach that 20-minute time. I'm actually looking at the last couple of episodes. Looks like episode T, episode U, V, W, X, and Z. They're all above 20 minutes episode. Although one of them was a guest episode, that's probably why it was longer. So the new goal for this podcast is going to be 30 minutes. But I was thinking about adjusting that to 25. I'll have to see how it goes. But regardless, it'll be more than 20 minutes this time. So each episode, I would like to ideally make it 30 minutes. So that's nice. That's a nicer goal to have. Which means I'm going to need just to take in more content personally. I'll talk about that later or in the first episode. So how can I reach 30 minutes without, dead air? Well, I'm thinking about having segments. I'm not sure what kind of segments, but maybe I dedicate parts of the episode to like something I gotta do every week, like a new food I tried or new music I listened to. Right. Having segments is structure, and structure helps to fill up time. Also, I don't want to put like stuff I don't care about or stuff that sounds boring to the listener. So I'm thinking about that. And then I'm going to prep more. The Google Keep notes that Google Keep is the website I use to write my notes. I recommend it a lot, actually. I think I mentioned that before. Anyways, my Google Keep notes is where I just jot like a bunch of bullet points throughout the week or so. I'm going to try to write more details this time and even links if I need to, so I don't have to be wasting time clicking around. So yeah, I want more detailed notes when I'm going into these podcasts. At least so if I had a really good idea or a thought, I don't lose it completely when I'm talking about it a week or 2 weeks later. And I guess the last thing that I wanted to change was something called open guests. So anybody who wants to be on my podcast, just let me know. And then once we record a single episode together, I will keep you in the Discord server that I record the podcast in. And then every Sunday, maybe like an hour before I want to record, I'll just notify everybody. I'm like, hey, I'm going to record a podcast in 1 hour. If anybody wants to join, right? So potentially there could be a guest every single week. And I'm okay with that because guests build for conversation. And it's a little bit more fun doing it with other people. I also want to add a song at the end of every episode. Again, that's a Spotify only feature. And yeah, I just want to provide a better experience for the viewer or listener, I guess, and also for my own growth as a podcaster, as a person, as just my oral dictation and all that jazz. So yeah, thank you for listening to this mini 10-minute-ish season 1 in review. Well, actually, I guess this is season 1 in review, I'm calling it. I should talk about season 1. So it took me about, the first episode was recorded June 2nd, 2021. So, a little less than 2 years to finish 26 episodes. A lot of things were in the way. Well, mainly on my own part. I've gone through that multiple times on the episode. What's some things I liked? I know I enjoyed the guest episodes. They were fun. I enjoyed making the YouTube renditions of the podcast. It's just nice to see it presented visually, although at the end of the day it is still just audio. What I don't like is I didn't really set the initial goal of the podcast, to work on my dictation and my vocal clarity. But I guess I gotta keep reminding myself to be mindful of that, because I have this opportunity to express that here, so I should go ahead and just practice, right? This podcast is a creative adventure, so I don't need to feel like I'm being graded. So that's a stressless environment, so I should just take advantage of that and utilize that to work on my personal growth. Yeah. I don't want to talk about stuff that's going on right now, because I want to save that in my life. I want to save that for the first episode. But I think I got a pretty solid amount of stuff to talk about for my first episode. Yeah. I enjoyed making the podcast. Now that I have my own apartment, I should seriously be more expressive, louder if I need to, and definitely just consistent and less shy about doing podcasts. Because when I would do it in public, at the park or at the beach, if someone was walking past me, I'd feel a little bit self-conscious and anxious. But now I have my own place. I don't need to worry about that. So it's all on me now. And I'm excited and hopeful. And I hope many guests will join me along the way, maybe every single week. That's okay. That's the way it can be. So yeah, thank you for listening to the Broke But Not Broken podcast. I hope you liked season 1, even for a little bit. And I hope you are going to join me for season 2, starting 1 week after this is released. So thank you again for listening, and have a good day.